Forever Chemicals exceed the federal limit in 7 water districts on Long Island. Find out what water suppliers say they're doing about it at Newsday.com. Sarra Sounds Off is brought to you by Roll Up Awnings.
Greg Sarra coming to you from the Newsday newsroom, and this week on Sounding Off, we'll have Carissa Kelman, Michael Sicoli, and Ben Dixon on to talk about the state of high school athletics, baseball, boys lacrosse, flag football, and we'll start off with our leadoff hitter, Carissa Kelman. Hello, Carissa.
Thanks for having me back again,
yeah,
leadoff hitter.
I'm loving it. Hey, listen, I called you out at the Plainview game yesterday in flag football, and I thought it would be a competitive game with Paul Washington, and it wasn't. They're just dominant. 3 years running, haven't lost a game yet. What'd you see yesterday?
They are just too dominant, really, for any team that I've seen them play. Even Massapequa gave them a really great game in the first half, but they came back. They have 3 great quarterbacks. They have options, a freshman, a junior, and a senior. But it's not just the quarterbacks that get it done. It's the receivers, Rachel Gans, Emma Heaney, Laura Glasser, and they're pretty great on defense, too. This team is nearly unstoppable.
You look at that team, and I thought, personally, they lost Jennifer Canaruto, did not play this year. She was one of the best players the last 2 years on Long Island, and I was like, how are they going to replace her at quarterback? And I asked you about that yesterday, and you said it's not just one person. There are 3 different girls that are operating in the quarterback position and doing a fine job.
They are, and Coach Alec Abramowitz told me it's a competition. So he's testing them all out to see who wants to be QB1, who's going to put in the work, and he's going to go with whoever's been doing best. And yesterday it was Skylar Sachs, the junior, and she was nearly perfect with her passes.
You also said Emma Heaney and Laura Glasser, that they're 2 of the very best wide receivers and flag pullers that you've seen.
Absolutely. Emma Heaney is 6'1". That's intimidating for those quarterbacks that step up and have to look at her. She has been batting down too many passes for the other teams to get anything going.
Did you ask Coach Abramowitz about Valley Stream? Because I thought they put together a pretty good team this year.
I did. I asked him at the end of the game, I said, who can beat you guys? And he said, listen, we've had some really tough games. Like I said, Massapequa, Valley Stream District, he said he was really impressed with. They gave them a really great game. They did defeat them 19-7, but he said that score is not indicative of just how hard that team played.
In Division I, you go out to Suffolk County, it's kind of like there's like 4 or 5 teams that can all win.
There are.
Who really impresses you out there?
Patchogue Medford is still undefeated right now at 15-0. They were truly an impressive squad. The quarterback has an insane arm, another long passes like we see with Plainview. We have Patchogue Medford, Longwood also. I believe they only have 1 loss, Half Hollow Hills West. And then you look at League 2 in Suffolk.
Yeah.
And it's Sayville and Hauppauge, and there's a ton of
East
teams.
Islip is a brand new program.
Right.
They're doing well. West Islip is doing really
Eastport
well.
South Manor, too. They're really
Mackenzie
great.
Hughes, real good quarterback
Yes.
in Division I. Delaney Israel, real good quarterback at Longwood, I believe,
Yes.
right? These are some teams. I think it's anybody's game in Suffolk County. I think it's wide open. I had the opportunity to cover the Sayville game against Hauppauge. It wasn't really about scoring. It was about the flag pulling and the great defense.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of the girls are so good at pulling the flag. It's not new anymore. These girls are skilled.
They're getting it done, and they're learning more difficult passes, more difficult routes, and they're really starting to get this game going, and it's truly competitive and fun to watch.
So did you get the chance to see East Islip this year?
I have not.
Okay. There's a running back, Danica Tittridge. She is unbelievably fast. I mean,
Wow.
the fastest girl I've seen on a flag football field in 2 years. And she's a jet. And she kept Sayville's defense on their heels. Now, it was a 13-6 Sayville win, but it was a game that could have gone either way. They got into the red zone a few times, East Islip. Remember, they're a very new program. They're fledgling program. They first year, Robert Scanone Jr. and Alec Blyberg have done an amazing job. But you've seen that in some other programs when you've been out covering throughout Long Island.
Absolutely, yeah. Port Washington was in its 2nd year, so they had it was a sophomore-heavy team, a lot of freshmen going on. But there's been a lot of new programs in Nassau and Suffolk, and they can compete right with Plainview and these other big dogs.
Well, I know Sayville has Olivia Moynihan and a couple of other really great players. Hauppauge's got Taylor Maletti and a couple of other really great players. Eastport South Manor, now we got to go out and cover them. And Alexandra Deira Locasano, quarterback. But when you look at the girls that play in the other positions, Justice Sin and some of the other girls that play there, they're as good. Vormatag, they're as good as anybody in their division. So
Absolutely.
they're a wild card. They can win too.
Definitely.
It's kind of fun. The sport's exploding on Long Island.
It is fun. I'm looking forward to these playoffs.
And now Old Westbury in the college ranks, they added flag football.
Yeah.
So there's a place to go and play at the next level.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for the update. The
course.
playoffs are going to be exciting. I'll be
I
out
can't
there
wait.
with you because I can't get away from
You
it.
can't.
So joining us now, our baseball writer, Ben Dixon. And Ben, all during the beginning of the season, we were talking about some of the high-profile guys, including the Yormack twins at Belmore JFK. They're headed to Duke in a couple of years. You had an opportunity to write that feature and to talk to them. Were they as good as advertised?
Oh, of course. I mean, we've had their eyes on them for a little bit. Obviously, last year we did the little bit of the next thing with the preview section. But going out there this year, they just get bigger, stronger, better each year. It seems like third year on varsity, Derek and Ryan Yormack, both hitting over 500. Derek doing crazy things on the mound. No hitter against Long Beach a couple weeks ago. Some scouts in attendance there. But my favorite part, and it's what I led the story with, the competitiveness, the healthy competitiveness between the brothers. Derek's obviously an ace out there on the mound. His fastball's at 90 plus at 16 years old. Ryan thinks he can hit a homer off him. Derek's like, no way that can happen. So, if that happens, Mike Gaddis, let us know. We want to be there to see that.
So do they throw to each other live in practice?
Gaddis said they don't. They're a little bit hesitant to do that just because, only sophomores. They got a few more years to do it. But I would love to be there to see that happen. I would bet each of them kind of get one over on each other for sure.
So look, they were dominating this year, but they lost to Mepham this week. Mepham is one of the challengers in that classification. And other guys that we've really shown a lot of attention to, Jaden Stroman, who will be a high draft pick from Patrick Medford, Nick Frusco, another guy who'll be drafted out of Miller Place, having a great year. But I got to see Thomas Costarelli of East Islip, the great quarterback, for the first time throw on the mound against the crosstown rival West Islip this week. Let me tell you something. He's as electric as any kid on Long Island, and he's a good hitter. And the team, East Islip as a team, is really strong. Our favorite story, my favorite story, I think you'd agree, is the Riverhead baseball program and the turnaround with Kevin Kerman and what they're doing out there. It's impressive.
It's really impressive. You think about Kevin Kerman's in his third year as Riverhead's coach. First year, 1-19. Second year, 4-16. The numbers were low. Kids who were playing could have easily quit and walked away from it. Some of them didn't. This team, they got a healthy mix of freshmen, sophomores, juniors, I think 4 seniors on that team. And now they're 1 win away from the playoffs. They got to win one of their final 5 games. They won the first game of the series against Floyd. They win one of these next 2 or one of the final 3. They'll be in the playoffs. And it's just a remarkable turnaround. And, I might be paraphrasing a little bit, but something that Kerman told me when I was doing that notebook, it would be the ultimate reward for these guys if they make the playoffs. It really would be something special to see. It's such a great story, seeing these teams overcome adversity and kind of, reach these moments.
And they had a perfect game also, or was it a no-hitter?
Yeah, Matthews and Ambrisky threw a perfect game against Central Islip. They got a bunch of other guys.
A real perfect game.
7 innings. Camden Wallace has been doing great things for them. Talked to him for that notebook. It's been a great story to follow.
Yeah, that's someone to punch. Cam Wallace and Matt Zambrisky. Yeah. They're really good. Who else caught your eye in the last couple of weeks?
It's got to be Plain Edge. They were flying under the radar a little bit. I was talking to Coach Kyle Fraddick about that one. I wrote the numbers down because it's hard to believe. 9 shutouts in 16 games and 4 other games where their pitching staff has allowed 2 runs or less. So it's Taylor, Jackson Torres, Aiden McCarthy, Nick Williams. That whole staff has done a tremendous job, and it'll be interesting to see how they fare here come later this month.
It all starts with pitching.
Yeah,
it all doesn't. I had the opportunity early in the spring to watch a scrimmage. I watched Miller Place at Longwood, and I stayed for a couple of innings. I just wanted to see how good Longwood was. I know a lot of their kids, seeing them in the summer. They have an outstanding program. Ryan McCherry's done an unbelievable job. They're consistently good. They fly under the radar too. They're dominating in their league, and that's a team that can win the Suffolk County Championship. And I watched them against Nick Frusco for an inning and a third, and a couple of guys squared balls up and hit the ball well. They're one of the better hitting teams on Long Island. I think you'll see them do well in the playoffs. 2 other teams we have to mention.
Yep.
Bayport Blue Point, undefeated. I saw them against Center Riches, and they dominated. They took the 3-game series. Very strong pitching, very good hitting, really great team all around. And I had the opportunity to see Eastport South Manor against Hills West.
Combined no-hitter in that one, right?
Yeah, so we've been out to some good games, And again, Eastport South Manor, Jimmy McGowan's done a fantastic job out there. They have brand new, beautiful facility. Another team that's going to be tough to beat. Your other thoughts before the playoffs? I mean, we start the playoffs, believe it or not, in 10 days.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's coming up. I mean, I love the teams that are going for their first titles. And going back to what we were talking about with the Ormacs, they've obviously been on the radar, 2 straight league titles, but that program has never won a county title. So those 2 kids as sophomores, if they can lead them, that'd be some story.
Well, we look forward to the playoffs. Hopefully the weather is
Hopefully.
better than it's been the last month, right?
Yeah, hopefully. Thanks,
All right,
Greg.
man, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Now we bring in the 3-hitter, Michael Sicoli, and boys lacrosse. And Mike, I got to tell you, there's been so many 1- and 2-goal games in the last 2 weeks. It's been great. And I think a lot of that has to do with Nassau County having an ability-based division, which I think makes all the teams better. Would you agree?
I would, and I think it's a good thing for the sport is ultimately you're getting the best teams facing the best teams. And whenever you get that, you get a better playoff product, you get a better state product. And we know Long Island's a school or a place that's always competing into June and always competing for a state title. And I think a Power League is a good development towards that.
One of the teams that's really jumped out at you early in the season and now continues to win is Port Washington. Tell us about the Vikings.
It's a fun school. It's a fun school. It's a fun group of kids. They have a statement. They have a mantra, and their mantra is let's win by 1. And when you win by 1, it's because your defense and your goalie and Max Inon are that good. You have Harrison Behan, one of the toughest defenders in Nassau County. It's a program that under first-year coach Glenn Levy, they turned it around. 4-win team last year, all of a sudden an 11-win team this year, competing in a vulnerable Class A situation in Nassau. I think it's going to be a team that I'm really excited to see because they do all the little things right.
Check that box on the schedule. Port Washington is tough. So now, you talk about a turnaround. What's the greatest turnaround in Long Island? It's got to be Locust Valley.
It's right up there. We're talking a 1-win team into an 8-win team. And all of a sudden, we talked about the ability-based conference, and I think they're competing with schools that are a lot more competitive with them. With, you take Calhoun out of it, and they go into the Power League and schools like that. And Locust Valley dropping to Class D, it's going to make for an amazing playoff situation in Nassau, where all of a sudden we have a 3-time repeating state champion in Cold Spring Harbor. We have a Locust Valley team that is going to give them a fight, and they get to face each other next week, and it'll be fun to watch.
So we're going to get to see Cold Spring Harbor, Locust Valley in a regular season game, and then 2 weeks later in a county championship for the right to go to the state tournament.
It's very possible. I mean, in Class D, it's always a tight battle between very few schools because of enrollment, but because of that, it creates schools that are well matched against each other. And I think Locust Valley is one that, with Owen Pye in the midfield, he's been terrific this year. It's going to be fun to see whether Cold Spring Harbor can contain him.
I know you want to talk a little Catholic League with Chaminade, St. Anthony's, and whoever's on your mind, but I want to ask you about Suffolk County. Why does it seem like it's so competitive in Division II? Like everybody beats everybody. Division I's been a little bit different this year. Some teams are down and there's been a lot of blowouts, but Division II looks interesting.
West Islip is one of the best teams on Long Island right now. And it's a team that I loved how they responded from their loss to Kings Park, another Suffolk 2 contender at that. And they lost a heartbreaker at West Islip. I was there. It was a great game. But then they went out and beat East Islip. And when you were able to rebound like that against, a contending team in East Islip,
And a crosstown rival.
And a crosstown rival that has implications beyond what's going on in the field. They get those bragging rights, and it's something that I love seeing. I love seeing how teams respond to that. And, I think with Suffolk too, it's that grit and it's that closeness with teams like Sayville, always willing to poison upset. Mount Sinai is not a school to overlook. You get West Islip in there, you get Kings Park, and you get East Islip, and all of a sudden it's just fun. It's fun. We get schools that are just so good at scoring and so good at defending. Drew Walendowski at East Islip. There's no shortage of talent in Suffolk too.
So what kind of feedback did you get on the goalkeeper story? I know there had to be somebody that said, what about me? Do you have any what about me's, or you nailed it?
But if there was one I missed, and you mentioned a little bit about the Catholic schools, I'd say it would be Kieran Walsh at Chaminade. That's a guy that he is imposing. We're talking a 6'4" type of goalie that as a sophomore or as a junior, I should say, has just been crushing it. He was the hero in their win against St. Anthony's, making 2 saves in the final 5 seconds of the game to win them their first game over St. Anthony's since 2021. It was a huge, momentous type of day, and they'll get a chance to repeat that. Walsh is wall to Walsh.
So now they are 2 of the top 10 teams in the country.
Top 11. St. Anthony's at 11.
11. Now they
I'm not.
slid a little bit.
A little bit.
So now they play each other for the AAA Catholic League state title. Is that correct?
That's correct. State and league title simultaneously.
How many games do you think they've played each other in the last decade that were 1-goal differences, one way or the other? Most of them, right?
You'd imagine it'd be most of them, just like the last one I was able to cover, because they're just that good programs. There's no shortage of talent between those two teams. Quinn Ball, the best face-off guy on the country, I would say, for Chaminade as well. And he was the difference in their matchup.
St. Anthony's struggling a little bit in the Fogo area, but they have some young guys really killing it. Was it Paulie Lenegro was one of the guys that in there, another really talented kid in the face-off circle. But when you go against Quinn Ball, it's really unfair. I mean, he dominates everybody all season. Is that correct?
That's 100% correct. It's someone that it's hard to be a difference maker at a face-off as a Fogo, because you only have such a limited opportunity to make that impact. But what Ball does better than most is that he not only wins the face-off and dominates each and every one, he'll take it from there and launch the attack right off of it. He just has burst. He knows where to go with it. He knows whether to feed it or take it himself. And those opportunities, there's very few Fogos that can do it like him.
Well, you're doing a great job at boys lacrosse. I know that you and Brian Heyman are having a lot of fun with it, and you're spreading the wealth. So we're covering everybody on Long Island. So it's fantastic. Good job.
Thank you.
I'm Greg Sarra from Newsday Sports, coming from the Newsday newsroom. We'll be back again next week to Sound Off.